War has come to the western Zemurian continent, with the Erebonian Empire gearing up for domination of its neighboring countries. Remiferia, Crossbell, Havard Republic, and the Libero Kingdom find themselves at odds with an enemy that has many powerful allies and superior technologies. This is a direct continuation and conclusion of the Cold Steel games, as well as tying in the rest of the Legend of Heroes, and I will try to make this as spoiler free as possible in this review. Everything that has happened in past games has led to this, but does Falcom deliver on the buildup of this continuous story over 9 games? For the most part, it does, but it's not without flaws. I had mostly enjoyed my time with Trails of Cold Steel 4, mainly here for the aftermath of the Cold Steel 3 cliffhanger ending, and seeing past characters of games unite and work together to fight off this Erebonian threat. To me, the best part of this game is the interaction between the different characters, both new and old. I really enjoyed watching all this unfold in relation to the main story. In my Cold Steel 3 review, I expressed concern if Falcom could balance all these characters and give each of them their moment to shine. Luckily, they managed to pull it off and give the new Class 7 the growth that has been continuing since the last game. I think they did a great job of having Yuna step up as the de facto leader, get everyone motivated again. That is, until the story started heavily focusing on one character. Speaking of the main story, it's mostly decent, but it falters in a number of moments that just took me out of it. It sucks because Cold Steel 4 has some great moments, and then it has some bad ones mixed in. More often than not, it felt like the game kept retreading over the same things. It goes full on anime levels of ridiculousness at times that would put Naruto. What made the story better in Cold Steel 3 was the feeling of high stakes in that no character was immune to consequences. If you don't mind this sort of escalation to happen, then this game should be a good time. For those that played this game, I felt that certain things happening to characters ruined the emotional moments of the past, and I cared less about what happens to them because writers decided to nullify repercussions that occurred previously. It made this game feel incredibly small-scaled, despite the game was supposed to be on the brink of war. It became unbelievable that the protagonist just happened to stumble across the main bad guys all too often. I felt that the game dropped the ball on the all-or-nothing stakes the game was trying to convey by constantly putting your group of characters away from the bigger fights. By the time I was over halfway through the game, I just wanted to get to the end quicker. I think the first half of the game was better than the last half, where I felt the story was slightly rushed at points, or just didn't make any sense sometimes in the grand overall story. I know this is a Rean-focused story, but I found it tiresome to have so much of the stakes placed on him. He's an extremely overpowered character that is a far cry from the restraint Trails guy. I don't mind Rean as a character, but the game takes a noticeable turn once he's back in the spotlight. Not to say the gameplay is lacking, as it's a more refined combat system that tries to balance some broken aspects of prior games. It brings back the order, break, arts, and orbment systems, as well as some minigames and battle commands. Break and order systems have been adjusted to make it harder to exploit them as easily like in Cold Steel 3. There are still ways to make character builds that completely avoid all damage, but it's not as bad as it was previously. Cold Steel 4 reintroduces Lost Arts, was in Cold Steel 2, and are much more powerful than regular arts normally, but they will use your entire EP gauge, which is your mana bar. I did enjoy the combat system quite a bit. I thought they did a good job of making it fun to fight things in the world. Graphically, the game is on par with Cold Steel 3, but it does look better a bit overall. It sure is an improvement from Cold Steel 1 and 2, and I can only see Falcom improving how future games look and perform. The music is still great to pump you up on fights. There's some real bangers in the soundtrack, and I'd say the music is absolutely one of the series' strengths. I always enjoy listening to these songs even outside the game. This is a great demonstration of how music really adds excitement and emotions to a game, and not just act as just background noise. Even though I think it's not as good as Cold Steel 3's songs overall, I think 4 still has a very good list of songs that are worth listening to over and over again. While I mostly enjoyed Trails of Cold Steel 4, with its fantastic character moments at times, and then the harem that has been gradually growing with each game as a real buzzkill, it's a bit of a mixed bag for me. Falcom mostly stuck the landing with how the Legend of Heroes games led to this war, but there's a good amount of little problems that just drag it down. It's mainly story complaints or writing of characters, as I found the combat and the things you do in this game to be fun. Do I think it's a game to skip? Absolutely not. I think there's still a lot to like and love about it. I will say I don't recommend people to start with this game, despite what Falcom is saying that you can start it here. There are so many references and callbacks for fans of this series that you would be doing yourself a huge disservice starting with this game. Play through Trails in the Sky and the Crossbell games before you start with the Cold Steel arc. It just doesn't reach the peak of Trails of Cold Steel 2 or 3 in the Cold Steel tetralogy. In my opinion, there are no other game series that reaches this level of world building and continuity in the realm of video games. An impressive feat that Falcom has accomplished over the span of 9 games that they have ultimately succeeded in. I am looking forward to seeing where Falcom takes us in the Legend of Heroes series, even if it's a misstep in the conclusion of the Trails of Cold Steel arc.